Hi guys, this is Terra, also known as Surf's Pup. So normally I'd be doing a general Terra Talks, but this is a Terra Talks Terrible Topics, which means I'm going to be ranting. I didn't intend for this to be my first video here, but this has been something that's been ongoing and on my mind, and I think it's something we all really need to talk about, especially in the community. So I'm just going to go right into it. This is about call-out culture and public shaming, especially in our community. We've all been duped and, it sucks. I totally feel you guys. It's a mess, and your first reaction is to get mad and be like, oh my god, I want to tell everyone. Look at this, look at what this person did. It's so bad. But that's not the adult way to solve a problem. In life, yeah, you might talk to your close friends about it, your relatives, whatever, but you don't go out by a billboard and say, blah, 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 is a horrible person. It's not right. I'm starting to see it come up with so many, especially very new, young fursuit makers. Like, this is really, really bad. Like, really bad for our community. And, couldn't even make a text post about it because I know so many people kind of ignore big chunks of text. So I'm, just putting a video out here, saying it with my voice. That's how important this is to me. So I've been in the fandom officially, I guess. I made a fur affinity 5 years ago. But I've had a fursona since I was 12. So I've technically been a furry for a really long time. For 10 years, essentially. I'm 22, yeah. So there was a time around 2007, 2005, where there were really no professional fursuit makers. There was no Autumn Fallings. Maybe Don't Hug Cacti was just starting. I don't even know. All these people that you know of as these big time makers who are flawless and produce this amazing work didn't really exist. We didn't have that. And everyone's suits had flaws. I look back to my favorite suits when I was a kid, when I was 12 and 11, and they would be low grade to you guys. But even now to me, I'm still oh my god, those suits are my favorites still. I love them. They're not perfect. They might be a little cross-eyed, or they have pop seamed, or messed up fur directions and things like that, paint chipping off the eyes and things. I remember it so clearly, especially with my favorite suits. One of my favorite suits was so baggy on the maker, but I loved it. It was my favorite. It comes down to that. Like I said, all those professional makers didn't really exist yet. They were beginners once too. Every artist starts somewhere, and we aren't born or blessed with the talent. It is through practice and years of practice. Like I said, I've been in this fandom for 10 years, and let me tell you, the reason why I post my old art so much to make you guys laugh is to make sure you recognize that my art was crap once, total crap, and it's still not top-notch now. It's still not where I want it to be. I started at the itty-bitty bottom, and I used to draw with a mouse. I didn't know what a tablet was. I used MS Paint. It was horrible. It was terrible. But that's okay. It's okay to start at the bottom, because that means you are figuring out what works for you and what doesn't. Everybody starts somewhere, and wherever you start, that's the best part, because you're gonna look into something that you might become a professional at in a few years from now, and that's incredible. So, on that topic, new artists are quitting what they're doing because of this, and therefore making the community short of one more person who could have become a professional, who could have become the next Autumn Fallings, because you're posting these crazy call-out posts, ripping them apart. And they're like, you know what, I'm either gonna A, kill myself, or B, just quit entirely because this whole community makes me miserable. And you know what, I don't blame them for feeling that way. It's bad. It's so bad that your first reaction, not even your first reaction, your first action is to publicly assault someone. I think that we are better than that. We're supposed to be this loving, welcoming community. Oh, we all wear animal costumes and we're all nerds and we all love each other. Whoa, some of you guys are really vicious. And I'm not saying, I'm not generalizing everyone, but I've been seeing so many bewares on kids, children, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and I'm like, oh my god, this is horrible. Here's something that I did that was quote-unquote, might have seemed like a sin when I was 10, and I posted on this Lion King fan art site. I took those coloring clip art pages of, Charlie from All Dogs Go to Heaven and like Balto, and I colored them in and I said those are my characters and that was my art. Yeah, people yelled at me, but I wasn't posted on a Beware page and publicly slandered by everyone in the community. Do you know how quickly I would have quit? You know, I wouldn't have existed. Surf's Pup wouldn't exist. Terra Wolf Dog wouldn't exist. That's just an example. There was an artist on Instagram in particular. When they were 13, they traced someone else's art. You know, over time, they developed their own style and they learned from it and they didn't do it again. I didn't see any proof of them ever tracing again. But these people ripped her apart. Every post she make, oh, are you blah, 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 you trace that person's art. Oh, you're a tracer, don't commission her. And her art prices were so low, like $5 for a full body. I wanted to freaking cry. It was terrible. It was so horrible to see that. And it like sat with me in such a bad way. You know, I ended up commissioning her. It was awesome. And I loved it. And now she like quit Instagram. I think she's only on DeviantArt now. These are all examples of things that just like shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. You are destroying the future of these artists that we could have. Wonderful budding artists. There's a fine line between, hey, I'm gonna make people aware about this, and bullying and white knighting and ripping someone apart to the point where, you know, and this has happened to me before, where there were times where people like wrote to me so angrily and horribly that, you know, I cut myself, that I was literally on the verge of suicide. I remember crying in my attic because I literally had a mental breakdown because so many people were attacking me by myself, and I was like, I'm not even religious. I was like praying to God that like he would just kill me. I wanted to die, and I almost like overdosed that night. It's not cool. It's not okay. This is not okay. You could either take someone's life or rip them out of the fandom. And, you know, ripping them out of the fandom is your best case scenario. Good for you. Then what did you do? Instead of educating them. And sorry to get angry, and I know a lot of you guys know me as this angry person, and maybe you resent me for it, and I know a lot of people resent me for it. And I'm sorry about that, but I have to say something about this because we're going to destroy our own community. We are literally going to implode on ourselves at this rate that you guys are going at. When Autumn Fallings quits and they decide, you know, I'm gonna, you know, not do this anymore. And, you know, all the other professional makers and things like that, when they all quit, who's the next person in line? You have to think about that. What's our future gonna be like? And, you know, maybe they won't ever quit, but what I'm saying is, you need those new artists. You need to encourage them. You have to be there for them. And you have to educate them when they do something wrong. Privately, maturely. Speak to them, reach out to them, and oftentimes if they don't respond, it's because they're already getting flooded with people telling them how they fucked up already. Which I fully understand because I've been there before. Where everyone's saying the same thing to me. Oh, you did this wrong. I know I did this wrong. They know they did something wrong. And if they don't respond, it doesn't mean they're ignoring you. It just means that they are really overwhelmed. I'm by no means defending people who did things wrong, by the way. Like, I understand you want to warn your friends, but warn them privately. You don't have to post a public burn the witch in front of everyone, because that's not how somebody learns it. And if somebody isn't taught and educated the etiquette of this community, they're not, you know, they're going to keep making mistakes forever. So do you and the community a favor and educate. Like I said, give them advice, tell them where they went wrong, why that's wrong, etc. You know, you have to understand every artist is also a person with emotions, they make mistakes, and artwork and suits aren't factory made, and you're lucky that they aren't. Like, how often do you get to directly talk to the Macy's CEO to make sure that your shirt and shoes perfectly fit you and look exactly how you want them, custom made? Like, you're very lucky. Like, art's a luxury, and these people are hand making you items, and that's not easy. Like, I've watched a good number of my friends make suits, and it is really, really tedious. I would never want to do it. It's literally sweatshop work. And, you know, me as an artist and an animator, like, I know that's hard. Like, that is ridiculously hard. Overall, not to be angry and stuff, not to be this rage person that you guys might know me as, but just be the person who is encouraging. Be that person who's kind, who educates, who talks calmly, and just tells them, hey, this is what you did wrong. Privately, don't, you know, attack people and make them run out of the fandom or maybe even end their own life. Keep the community growing and thriving, because those new people who don't know what they're doing and make the mistakes, even experienced artists make mistakes, they're going to learn and they're going to keep growing, and that's a good thing. So stop punishing and start educating. That's about it. Thanks, guys.
I'm done explaining. This is because it can be